Good evening. This is the Ancient Texan. As you can see, the lights in the background. It's Christmas time. It's Christmas Day, Christmas evening. We're supposed to have the family over, but some of them got sick, and snow's coming tomorrow, so we're going to delay Christmas till Sunday. Gives me a chance to talk to y'all. We're fixing, that's my Texan. We're fixing to go through some hard times in America. We've been through hard times before, and we've come out on the other side doing even better. Uh, we've got some things we've neglected, but if we start paying attention to them and start thinking a little long term, we can dig out of this. I'll be close to 80 this year. Doesn't mean that I've learned anything from the 80 years, but I've certainly had the chance. And you can decide whether I've learned anything as you listen to me and I kind of lay out some things that are going to happen and you see if it does happen. You be the judge. You also be the judge of, when I turn senile. So the message of this podcast is hard times are coming, but we can get out of this hole. Now, I know most of us want to blame Trump, even some of his followers. But Trump didn't actually cause most of this. He just accelerated some trends that have been here for a long time. We haven't controlled our border. We haven't had a policy that makes sense on immigrants. Now, what he's doing, I don't agree with. But both sides, Democrats and Republicans, have to sit down and admit they're part of the problem. Democrats were a little loose with the border. Trump's still not fixing our policy. We're just pushing it off into the future. And he's hurting a lot of good people that have been here a long time. And because we didn't have a system that worked, most of them are not able to be documented. You got to have money. They didn't have it. Just like the rest of us, the rich elite can do all sorts of stuff. Us common people, not so much. And the problem that I've seen for 50 years, I've been a extractive metallurgist now for nearly 60 years. 1968, I used to work the copper smelter in El Paso as an engineering assistant while I was going to college. I used to watch the immigrants, the maids, take off their dresses and wade across the Rio Grande and put them back on the other side. Would sit up on this rotary hearth roaster that was roasting sulfur out of a ore that came from Mexico, and watched the immigrants coming across. They took care of our aging parents and babysitted our kids and did a lot of really good stuff that we needed. So supply chains, I'll come back to that. And if you've been listening to my podcast, you know I'm already right in the middle of that. We've got a lot of work to fix our supply chains. And the formula is not going to be on this podcast. Well, formulas aren't my thing anyway. I'd hopefully make you think about stuff, though. Federal debt, Trump's making it worse again, both terms. But he didn't cause the federal debt problem. He just has pushed us to the brink. The declining dollar. Here's something I want to tell you that rich people already know this is happening. The banks know this is happening. Just most of us common folks don't know what's happening. The supply chain for silver just broke. China, for 16 years, has been buying up all the silver. COMEX, where silver is traded, suddenly found themselves not able to meet all the orders that they had taken. They've been managing the system, and the system's been short a long time, and they've been doing short positions too and managing it, not letting it get out of control until now. The shortage just got so huge that all of a sudden they can't control it anymore. So silver is fixing to go through the roof, and U.S. banks are going to lose a lot of money because they had the silver price in the 60s of dollars, and this big shortage is driving up the prices, going through the 70s now. By the end of January, it may be to 100. U.S. banks are going to take a bath. But they're repositioning themselves as fast as they can. The common man is going to suffer because that's going to hurt the U.S. dollar. It's another little chink in the armor. Here's another thing that's fixing to hurt the dollar, which was going to hurt your pocket. 50 years ago, we made an agreement with Saudi Arabia that we would kind of watch out for them. We got big warships, cruisers and stuff, and we would kind of take care of them if they only sold oil in American dollars. Why does it matter? Well, it gave us a little premium. Let's say you're Italy and you want to buy some oil. Well, you got to get rid of your currency, swap it into dollars first. And we all know how American banks treat people for every little service they need. They take a little slice out of it. Well, it gave us a premium as the whole world had to come exchange dollars, buy Saudi oil from the Saudis in dollars, and then the Saudis would take the dollars and buy American treasuries or, convert some into their currency. But everybody had to come through us and our banks, and we got to thinking we could make our whole future with just managing the money. Well, that's starting to fall apart now. We're finding out now that supply chains really matter. Really matter. They're like fundamental. So we're now living in the past and living on what we did right a long time ago. Even with oil, we're pushing, the drill, baby drill, which is nice for a while as long as it lasts. But at most, we've got a decade that we can keep doing drill, baby drill and be okay. Meanwhile, China now makes most of the solar panels and most of the windmills, and they install more capacity than the rest of the world put together, including us. They're diversifying their energy. We're staying in the past and not getting the expertise that's going to be needed for the future. They're building hundreds of nuclear reactors, both the big old-fashioned kind with uranium and modular reactors with thorium. What are we doing? We're talking about it. You know, our government could do something like subsidize you putting solar panels on your roof, which would help America and you at the same time because it really cut back on your electric bill. But we're not going to do that. We're going to live in the past and drill. Just remember that. That's one of the things we've got to change our mindset if we want to get out of this hole that we're in. Money has been moving from the bottom half to the top, 1 to 10% of Americans for a long time. The bailout of 2008, who did we bail out? Not all the people that lost their homes. We bailed out the banks. Silver crisis, who are we going to bail out? We're not going to bail out all the Americans when their dollar value starts going down. Oil's being sold in by the Saudis and other currencies. We're not going to bail out the Americans whose dollar is going to be worth less after that starts happening. First thing we have to do, I'm going to advocate that we have to rebuild our supply chains, which means everything we buy from China now, we need to eventually make ourselves or form alliances with friends, like the friends we used to have, if we can win them back, like in Canada and Mexico, Australia, European Union, India. There's plenty of people out there we can do, work with. We can't do it by ourselves anymore. That's just nonsense. We're less than 5% of the world population. The world's been getting stronger and we're weaker. We need friends. You can take that to the bank. Now, I'm going to start laying out a plan that I think will work over the next few decades if we can change our mindset and focus and take incremental steps in this direction. First thing we need to do to get a little slack in the system is we do not need 800 military bases. That's just absurd. Anybody that doesn't think that's absurd, go away and think about it for a decade and come back. Hopefully I'll still be here. We need a few bases in Europe, a few in China to control the sea lanes. I don't want to fight with China, but I want to be in a position that if we need to, we can control food and energy coming into China. We need to concentrate on building a new Navy. Ukraine showed us what all that's about. We need a Navy that is remote control. Sounds crazy, but watch what Ukraine's doing and think 10 years out into the future. It's going to be robots. It's going to be a ship with, 10 people on it, bunch of robots, bunch of automation, bunch of airplanes that take off and fly. They're called drones, but they'll be jets that take off and fly without people in them. They'll be able to go faster. They'll be able to even outrun the missiles. But the mindset is you got to start thinking 10 years in the future instead of 10 years into the past. So get rid of all those extra bases. Start converting our Navy, our Air Force, and even our military. We keep the elites, like the Marines and those guys that the Navy have that, jump in the water and do all sorts of superhuman stuff. Keep the elites, keep a domestic force, but don't plan on going all over the world. And if we do go all over the world, we'll send our automated Navy and our automated drones. Uh, and we'll fight against another country's automated forces, which there's a lot of bad things about that. But it's beyond the scope of what we're doing here. But that's just the way it's going to be. So, there's some trends that are just too big. Don't fight them. Okay, once we got a little extra cash from getting rid of these 800 military bases and getting rid of half of our armed forces and concentrating on the future, we need to start rebuilding our supply chains. And I'll talk more about that in future podcasts. But we can do this. First place, Democrats. Your job is simplify the permitting procedure. From the time someone applies, if it's a small project, say under $1 billion, it needs to be permitted in a year. If it's big, like up to, billion to 10 billion, maybe take 2 years to get it permitted right. We still don't want to screw up the environment, but we don't want all day thinking about it. Just here are the rules. Are they going to follow the rules? Have them put a bond up, whatever. Republicans, your job is to identify which critical minerals are needed, priority by the military, and then the civilian, and start rebuilding those. And guess what? All supply chains start with mines. You got to start with the mines, and we've got to build. Republicans are always complaining about the universities are too liberal. Okay, here's your chance. Build up universities that help us rebuild supply chains. Those universities will be very heavy on engineers, metallurgical, civil, chemical, structural, software, computer, AI, etc. These are going to be a workforce that rebuilds our supply chains. It's a chance to get your non-liberal universities with curriculum that are STEM curriculums that are going to rebuild America's position in the world. Republicans, stop complaining about the liberal Harvards of the world and build up a conservative workforce that concentrates on everything from bridges to robots to metallurgy. Got it? You might also both sides might also put in a Bureau of Mines, maybe think of a better name, but something that helps us rebuild the supply chains that bring stuff to the American people. This is probably beyond my scope and expertise, but we also probably need to rebuild our farms after what Trump's doing to them this term. But that's beyond this podcast. And then finally, both sides, we need to sit down and come up with an energy diversification plan. Thorium reactors, regular reactors, solar, wind, oil, everything. Prosperity comes with energy. Maybe we need to compromise and come up with a carbon tax so that when we do use carbon, we generate some revenue to help us, grow the supply chains and build alternate forms of energy. And maybe get rid of some, if you want to up the supply chain tax, not supply chain, carbon tax higher, you might even get rid of some personal tax. But none of this unfunded debt stuff. We got to work the debt down. Don't have to get fanatic. We can have deficits. We just can't be unbalanced like we are now. Everything's about balance. We can do this, America. Got ourselves in a big hole here where all our supply chains are controlled by China, or almost all of them. And we're losing control of our future. But we can do this one step at a time. Start with rebuilding supply chains and diversifying our energy. Now, don't take my word for it. Start studying and listening to a lot of different people with an open mind and an attention to those that are talking about the future. Screw the past and the present. I know I can't really do that. There's stuff we have to take care of. I know that. But we have to focus on at least 10 years into the future and start seeing where we want to be. There's no quick fix to the place that we're in now. There's no easy path to getting from where we are to where we need to be. It's going to take character, American ingenuity, and hard work. Well, we can do it. It's up to you, America. I want to get you started in the right direction, at least all I know, before I check out of this game. Anyway, have a good Christmas and a new year. Keep the faith. We can do this. Namaste.